Now, imagine you fall asleep for 15 to 18 hours a day, then you wake up in this kind of strange zombie-like state and you start hitting your family and then harming yourself. Well, those episodes can go on for 44 days at a time. That's exactly what happened to Lois Wood from Stevenage. It's thought that she's one of 65 sufferers of the rare neurological condition Kleine Levin Syndrome. But it's having a detrimental effect on the 14-year-old grade A student. Serena Farrow went to meet her and her mum set her.
She was being particularly violent towards herself. She was punching the wall. She was headbutting the wall. A big egg on her head. I had to wash blood off the wall. And she had no idea. When she woke up, me and her sister were trying to butterfly her fingers up and strap her up. And she just woke up in tears. She said, "Why do I hurt? Why do my hands hurt? Why does my head hurt?" And so very, very confusing for her. Heartbreaking, soul-destroying for us. And frightening.
It started around about like this time last year. I just saw it as I was gradually getting more tired. I didn't see it as anything different, but then I started to miss blocks of time and it got incredibly weird. It's kind of like if you get a videotape and you cut out a strip of the videotape and then you glue the other two pieces back together and play it through, you're missing a chunk of the film. So you've missed that part of it and you have no idea what's going on. You've got to be filled in by other people.
What's been your longest stint asleep then?
44 days sleep, actual like knocked out sleep, is about 15 maybe to 18 hours a day. Depends like between each episode because recently it's been about like 7 days, maybe 5 days in between, but my longest one was about a month, maybe 2 months. It's a bit difficult because I've got to try and catch up on my work at school and catch up with my friends because I'm missing so many lessons. I'm in the middle of my GCSEs. I'm so far behind on my sciences that I'll go in and I'll sit there, my teacher will be talking about titrations or molar mass and I'll be like, never heard those words in my life, what's going on? My basketball, I was aiming for the 2016 Olympics. This year I was going to try and go for the England trials, but because I didn't make it, because I couldn't go to the training sessions, it just wasn't possible for me to achieve it. I've got some friends that I have lost due to this because they've done the thing of, oh, you're never here, I never get to see you, like you're not there when I need you sort of thing. But then I've got like my best friends, like they're always there. I wake up to have like days and days of messages, about 5 messages, they go, you okay? Like, how are you? You're asleep sort of thing.
It's all, I don't want to say it, but it is a waste, isn't it?
It is, and you find this with all the KLS patients are high achievers. So because they don't know what causes it, they can't fix it. A lot of people have said that she's a typical skiving teenager. I wouldn't say that. She's very motivated, very driven. She's on the gifted and talented register for English, maths, sport, history. I mean, she sat an exam in her sleep. She doesn't remember any of it.
How did you do in that exam?
I got a C.
This last episode, she was asleep for 18 days.
But when you say 18 days, you've got to eat and drink in between this time.
Yeah. The best analogy I can give is like a dimmer switch. So off is completely asleep. She is comatose, knocked out. And then on is fully awake. In between, you've got all the phases between awake and asleep. She sleepwalks, and that's the best analogy that I can give for this, what she says, missing time. She doesn't talk to anybody, but she can do automatic functions. She goes to the toilet, she eats, and that's about it. Then she sort of steps up a phase, and she's a bit like a 4-year-old child who's hit the brandy. She's boisterous, very limited in her repertoire. She needs to play with everything. It takes about 2 or 3 hours for her to wake up. You know that groggy feeling that you have in the morning? Mm. She'll have that for 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, when you're hungover.
Yeah, or when you're hungover, yeah, very much like hangover.
Not that you'd know much about it.
She'll come down wrapped in her duvet with it over her head. I'll say, hello love, how are you doing this morning? Nothing. She doesn't even acknowledge that I'm there. She goes into the lounge, she lies on the sofa, she turns the telly on, and that's it for the next 6 or 7 hours. It's like talking to a brick wall.
Well, stay listening, because later on in the show, Lois and her mum will be coming into the studio to tell us a little bit more. You fall asleep 15 to 18 hours a day, then you wake up in what can only be described as a zombie-like state and start hitting your family, then harming yourself. Well, those episodes can go on for 44 days at a time. And that's exactly what happens to Lois Wood from Stevenage. It's thought she's one of 65 sufferers of the rare neurological condition Kleine Levin Syndrome, but it's having a detrimental effect on the 14-year-old student. Well, Lois and her mum set her in the studio now. Good morning.
Good morning.
So describe what happens, Lois.
Well, basically, I'll like get headaches and get incredibly tired.
Yeah.
And then I'll fall asleep. And then about 2 weeks later, 44 days later, I'll be awake, different clothing, complete different area, just random different place. And I
For
won't remember
44
anything.
days?
And I won't remember anything.
Right, there are some people that might say, yeah, you're 14 years old, that's what teenagers do. Why is this? You're not asleep for the whole 44 days, are you?
No, it's like a zombie-like state, like talking to a brick wall, really.
Yeah.
But then it can also be a 5-year-old, so it won't be me like being able to converse normally. You will have a 5-year-old sat with you, but the size of a 14-year-old.
Right. So these 44 days when you're kind of out of it, so you be asleep. Maybe I should ask your mum, because you don't know. You don't know what happens. The month has gone. So Seta, she'll be asleep for what, 15 hours a day?
Yeah.
But then when she wakes up, she's not really there.
No, she is completely vacant. She has no cognitive ability during that time whatsoever.
Yeah.
She's just a blank wall, and she just sort of appears when she needs the toilet. She'll wake up, she'll come downstairs wrapped in her duvet, she'll position herself on the sofa wrapped in her duvet and stare at the TV.
When did you first spot this? When did you realise that something was odd?
Well, when she turned 14, little things started happening. She started sleeping longer, and I thought,
Yeah.
oh, she's really hit teenageship, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think anything of it. I struggled to wake her up. She would blank me, which, I mean, I've already had teenagers.
Yeah.
Like, that is common behaviour, but it was an immediate change. Lois went from being one happy-go-lucky child to being a sullen Kevin and Perry teenager, which was really quite bad. It's bizarre overnight. And then, beginning of June, we'd had the dinner, and she went into the lounge, as you do after dinner, and fell asleep, and woke up about 3-4 hours later, not remembering anything about going to sleep. Her brother had been jumping on her back, and I'd put it down to being tired.
Yeah.
Then I just couldn't wake her. She was in bed, and it was like trying to wake up a log.
How do you like being described as a log by your mum?
I've been called worse.
But you lash out as well. You get a bit aggressive.
I've woken up and I've asked my brother, I've been like, Luke, where'd you get that bruise from? And he'll be like, Lois, you did it to me. I'm like, no, you're lying. I'm like, no, you did it to me. It'll be the size of an orange on his leg or his arm or something. Did I really do that? Yeah. But I have no recollection of it, and I'll wake up with bruises on me as well.
So you're doing it to yourself as well?
Yeah, but then it could also be my little brother, because we play fight normally when I'm awake, but 5-year-olds, you see little kids play fighting.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like scrapping and banter. But
that's what they do, and she doesn't understand that she's a lot bigger than he is. And because she has got a 5-year-old mentality, she has no impulse control. She has no control or social graces that would associate with a normal 14-year-old. And she just lashes out. She wants it now.
Are you scared that she could seriously hurt herself or her brother?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. I mean, the main priority when looking after her is to keep her safe and to make sure everybody else is safe, and then we're all right. But sometimes, yeah, I mean, I have had a couple of occasions where I have struggled to restrain her. But I think most of the things... they're for a 5-year-old, you'd say they were perfectly normal behaviour. But for a 14-year-old, they're not.
Look, you've been to the doctor, I'm assuming.
yes.
What did the doctor say?
Well, a lot of the doctors haven't come across it.
Right.
So we'll say, well, I sleep and act like this, and they're like, oh, this is weird, this is different. And
That's what you want from a doctor. Oh, yeah, this is weird.
And then they'll be like, well, I've never come across this before, I don't know what it is. And then, like we said, well, we've heard of like Kleine Levin Syndrome, and they'll be like, no, it can't be that, it's too rare, no one gets something that rare. And like, no one doesn't get it, people do have it.
That's what rare means.
Yeah, no one doesn't get it. Yeah. Has it been officially diagnosed as Kleine Levin?
No.
You've done a little bit of Google?
Yeah, but by, like, exclusion and stuff, it's not narcolepsy, it's not schizophrenia, we've been said, well, you need to go check if it's bipolar.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm bipolar.
Yeah.
And we've spoken to parents with children that have been diagnosed, and they've said, well, it sounds exactly like my child, it's like exactly the same. You need to get it diagnosed.
Then is there anything, if it is diagnosed as that officially, is there anything they can do?
Not really. It's one of those things you grow out of.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay. How has this affected you personally?
Well,
Lois?
it's affected my basketball career. Like,
Right.
I can't continue basketball anymore.
Right.
Which I was planning on going to the Olympics and NBA and everything.
Wow, really?
Yeah. But it's also affected my career and my social life. Like, my school education has gone down the drain. I'm basically failing my GCSEs now. And like my social life, I hardly ever get to see my friends. Like my best friend Lisa is constantly messaging me going, come on, like, how are you and everything. It's like before I came in here she was like, Lois, when are you on? Come on, like, I'm listening to Traffic, where are you?
Are you sure you're not just having a laugh? Are you sure this is just so you can get out of doing your schoolwork and doing the dishes and stuff like that?
No, like, I wouldn't wish it upon anyone, sort of thing. Like, as soon, like, you talk to me like this and you think, no, there's nothing wrong with her, she's faking it. But, like, my friends have said, like, because I've gone out in school, they've said, you're a completely different person, like, you're not you. And they said it's like someone else has entered your body and you've just left and got no control over it.
When was the last time you had an episode?
I came out last Wednesday.
And how long had you kind of lost?
18 days.
That's incredible. I mean, have you tried anything like hypnotism or anything like that to see if it's stored in there?
No.
You should give it a go. Don't take medical advice from me. What do I know? Santa, you've given up work, have you, to help?
I've had to give up work because when she's in an episode, she needs 24-hour care.
Right.
I mean, as we say, you know, she's run off. She does all sorts of bizarre and wonderful things. I pray for the days when she's asleep. You know, but no, I can't work now. No employer is going to give me, sort of, you know, a week off every other week.
Yeah.
In order to stay at home 24 hours for her.
So how tough has it been for you as a mum?
Physically, it's absolutely exhausting. Emotionally, it's soul-destroying. You know, this is a child who had so much potential. She's been on the gifted and talented register since she was in primary school, academically, in sport. She had everything going for her. And then she's suddenly been struck down with this, and she can't follow the dreams that she had. She's having to rethink everything, and getting her GCSEs is very difficult.
It's weird, isn't it? Because it's sleep, we're all going, oh yeah, it's sleep, it's a little bit funny, but obviously it's not. It's really, really serious. You say that you can grow out of it. Do we know kind of what age that could be? Is it going to be 16? Is it 21? Have we got any kind of indications?
I mean, the only thing we can go by is what has happened with other children, and it would appear that 10 to 15 years it burns out for most people.
Wow, is that all? How do you feel about it, Lois? Seriously, we are having a little bit of a laugh, but is it depressing?
It is kind of depressing,
Yeah.
but then my view on it is if you can't laugh about it, what's the point?
Yeah.
So I'd rather make a joke out of it than sit there and like, oh no.
Does it worry you though? Because you say your friendships are struggling, your career opportunities are kind of closing.
Yeah, it does worry me because like everyone else can go to sleep at night and go, I'm just going to go to sleep, I'll wake up in the morning this. I go to sleep at night not knowing if I'm going to wake up tomorrow in like a week's time sort of thing. And it is worrying because like, I've lost friends from this, everything like that. I've lost boyfriends and I've lost like relationships with family because of it.
Yeah, I'll be honest, you're 14, you're too young to have a boyfriend. You're too young to have a boyfriend. Well, I know. Listen, Lois, thank you so much for coming in. Keep us informed and let us know if anything develops with that, because it's fascinating, and I wish you the best of luck with it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, wait.